You know, I don't know what you did wrong, but I think I'm gonna call you my friend.
Welcome to Not Safe for Words. I'm your host, Crystal L. Kirkham, multi-genre author, editor, and cover designer. I'm here to give you insight into the world of publishing and to help you avoid the mistakes that others have made. So stick around, you're in for one hell of a ride where I don't curb the curses.
That certainly seems like a rather happy phrase and a good start to something that isn't such a great topic. And that phrase is one I typed out before I was fully aware of the exact situation that was going on. I believed what the person that I had known for a couple of years said, that it was just a minor misunderstanding and people were just kind of taking it out of context and blowing it out of proportion. Well, that was a fucking lie. Because not everybody you meet is going to be great, and I'm pretty sure y'all already figured that shit out. But sometimes these are people you've been talking to and dealing with for possibly years, when all of a sudden it comes to light that they are not the person you thought they were for any number of reasons. And that is always something that can be a little fucking hard to deal with. I have always been a person who likes to sit back, wait for all the information, and then make a decision. Anytime I've found myself wanting to jump to one side or another without the full information, I tend to make a mistake or a miscalculation because I haven't had the time to think through exactly what are the ramifications of what I've learned about this person, and do I have all sides of the story? Because if I don't have those things, chances are I'm gonna make a bit of an idiot out of myself supporting one side or the other. And I know this makes me seem like a foolishly neutral person who will never take a side, but that's not true. There are many things that I will flat out take a side on because they're decisions that are very easy for me to make. If somebody is making transphobic jokes, I'm done. I will tell them, and if they do not change that, I'm done. Because that's a core value for me. That's something that's really fucking important, is that I support trans rights. I support equality and gay marriage and all those wonderful things because it's the right thing. It's human rights. Simple as that. I've always believed that if nobody is hurting another person, it's none of my fucking business. And that is only a little bit of a side, but in the writing community, you're going to make friends, you're going to know people who sometimes are putting out a persona that isn't who they are. And a lot of these times, the truth of who they are comes out eventually. Now, how do you fucking deal with that? I know I've taken to being a little bit more careful with those in the writing community that I choose to be close to. Most of them are pretty good people. There's some out there that most people think are good people, but I prefer to keep them at an arm's length because I've seen how they deal with certain things, and I know that they are not somebody whose bad side I want to be on, and they are not somebody who I trust because they haven't proven to me that they're somebody I can trust. In fact, sometimes they've proven the exact opposite. Not that they're not a nice person, just that I can't trust them. And these are things that, I take into consideration. Some of them are people that I thought were wonderful, absolutely awesome people, and some are just ones that I came across and I thought, well, you could be a good person, and then they rather quickly prove otherwise. So, once again, how do we deal with this? It really depends on the kind of face they reveal when the mask is removed. I mean, if they remove the mask and what is left is a steaming pile of shit, I would say cut that person right the fuck out. Like, just distance yourself, block them if you have to. Nobody needs a steaming pile of shit in their life. Well, I mean, if you do, no judgments here, but I would say the majority of us probably don't need a walking, talking, steaming pile of shit in our lives. But sometimes it's just they're not a trustworthy person, and your best bet is just gently distance yourself. If they're not a horrible person, they're just somebody you don't think you can trust, just keep them at arm's length, which can be hard to do. But when it comes to somebody that maybe you kind of idolized, somebody who you really looked up to, that you admired, a writer, author, whatever, hell, we can pull you know who from that very famous series out of the UK that most of us know as being fairly transphobic. And while there are many who still admire this author and still look up to them, there are many of us who, as much as we once enjoyed that work and that series and the movies and the books and everything else, we have learned enough that we've just stepped away from it. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you just want to distance the author from their work. But a very important thing that was pointed out to me is that sometimes when you let the fandom continue, you continue to give somebody who's not a good person a fan base to speak to. And well, majority of us may know that that person's trash. Not everybody does. Especially not people new, possibly, to the fandom. But what do? Like, do you loudly decry? Do you distance yourself from everybody who still likes this person who totally conflicts with a possible core value? And that's the hard part. And I can't give you an answer to that as much as I want to, because I know people who will distance themselves in every way, shape, and form from somebody who entirely is against their core values, and I am not faulting them any for that, because that is their fucking life, and they are allowed to curate the type of poison they allow into their world, because for most of the people that are cutting that out, anybody who really is a part of that fandom, for them, it's a reminder every time of the fact that in many cases, their life is worth nothing to that person, that they are nothing to that person, that their entire existence is devalued. And I don't fucking blame anybody who feels that way when that author and their fandom is brought about, to totally want to cut all of those people out of their lives, because honestly, if you're not doing that, if you're not curating yourself a healthy space, then you're doing yourself a lot of disfavors. Disfavors. Who cares? It's really fucking late, and I have had a hellish day at the office, and I just want to go to bed, but I do not want any more late episodes, so this is the meat you're getting, and I have yet to even cut this one, so hopefully I'm also not repeating myself too much. But if you're not a person who wants to cut out, that's fine too. If you're going to tolerate people who are a part of someone or something that does violate your core values, you do still have to set some sort of boundary. And I feel like I'm a psychologist podcast at the moment, because boundaries are critical in everything. As an author, as a part of the writing community, as a part of society, setting your boundaries on what you will or will not accept in your life is incredibly important, and something so many of us fail at it, myself included. Huge failure. Boundaries do not really exist well enough in my world. But that is a whole nother story. So, I know all I've done is tell you, well, you can do this or that, and it runs the whole gamut of responses to any particular situation, but the truth is, this is something that you have to take on a case-by-case basis. There will never be one right answer. There can't be, because every situation is different. Every person is coming at things from a different place. All I can say is choose the people in the writing community, choose the people that you are friends with as a professional author carefully. You can choose them in a way that helps surround you with the positive and the best, or you can choose them in a way that surrounds you with negativity and things you don't want to see simply because you don't want to cut certain people out. But those are the choices you have to make. And it's something that if you haven't encountered it yet, you are going to at some point. So it'll benefit you to think about, where do my boundaries lie on the kinds of people I want in my writing circle, in my writing life, in my social communities, online and in person. And do not be afraid to say no thanks and block somebody, or to further distance them from your life. If it's, let's say, a critique group that you're a part of and there's somebody in there who just ain't that great, you can distance yourself. You can block, you can not communicate if you choose to, or you can simply say that you have a fundamental disagreement with many of their beliefs and you prefer not to interact with them, which is actually a really nice way of saying things. That somebody who has that you have a fundamental disagreement of beliefs with will probably take offense at anyways, because who the fuck am I kidding? People take offense at everything these days. So there you have it, folks. Just know before you really start to idolize people, or before you invite strangers into your private world of writing, know that there are going to be ones that will disappoint you. Know that there are going to be people who are wearing masks that will one day come off, and it's not going to be fun to deal with. Be prepared. Think about it. And know that no matter how much thought you've put into this topic, or how much you've considered those boundaries, at some point you're not going to react the way you want. You're not going to keep the boundaries you intend to keep. That at some point you're going to let things slip, and it's going to hurt and it's going to suck. And that's okay. All you can do is move forward from any given point. And that's what we're always doing with our writing, with being a professional author. We are going from whatever point we're at, and we're hopefully moving the fuck forward. This has been another episode of Not Safe for Words. I hope you found some useful advice here today. If so, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can join me next time for more publishing and writing insights. Thanks for listening.